Hello and welcome to the Global Studies News Network. I'm your host, Chris Getchell. Our top story tonight. A federal inquiry has been launched into the future of dictionaries in the United States of America. According to a spokesperson, it appears to be a defining issue. More at 11. You know, here at the Global News Network, I've had many questions about maps. How do you know what kind of map it is? Well, you know what? You need to know what the theme of the map is. What's the map telling you? Let's dig deeper, shall we? I want to give you a quick overview of thematic maps, okay? There are so many different maps in the world, and thematic maps really means what's the map about? Okay, what's the theme of the map? So there's all kinds of them. You probably see them every day. All right. Here's a weather map. Okay. This is shows you the temperature in your area. That's the theme of this map. Another map that a lot of us might use is, for example, a bus route or how to get somewhere. If you use, for example, a map at school that's on the door to find your way to the gym or to the restroom or to the lunchroom, you're using a thematic map. Here's a map that is focusing on human and physical geography. This happens to be an election map. So this is when McCain and Obama were running, and it shows you which states were leaning towards McCain, which were leaning towards Obama, and which ones were still a toss-up. So this is from 2008, but this is a good example of a political map. Here's one that's a physical map that's showing you the different elevations. This is Romania. The darker the color, the higher the elevation, so you can see where the mountains are in Romania. Here's one of the United States that you all recognize, I know. And so you can see this one, the same thing. The darker colors represent the higher elevations. Can you tell where the Rocky Mountains are in this map? Here's one of Lake Mead down in Arizona and Florida. It's a big reservoir lake. And so it could be, different bodies of water and rivers and oceans. Often, they have maps of those different things. Maybe you like to fish and you use a lake map for your fishing. Here's one that shows climate, okay, in the United States. We're the dark blue. We're in a zone called the humid continental. But you can see all kinds of different climate zones in the United States. Here's one that shows rainfall, okay? So the darker the color, the more rain that area gets per year. This one shows heat around the globe. So, the redder, the dark red you can see on the end, we're up to 80, 90 degrees it looks like or so on the right side, or 30 degrees Celsius, and on the other end it's minus 50 degrees Celsius, and so you can see the how cold or hot it is, and clearly you can tell where the equator is, which would be right around the middle of the world, of the globe there. That's, of course, where the hot zone is. That red area is pretty much the tropics. Here's one that shows vegetation and what kind of plants grow where. Here's one, a global one, that shows vegetation, and you can compare that, for example, to a climate map, and you can probably tell like where the deserts are on Earth. If there's very little vegetation or real dry vegetation, that means it's probably a desert in that area. Likewise, certain colors also would represent, for example, rainforests. So you can see on this map it would be where there is red, So you can see in South America and also in Africa, one is in Brazil and the other is in the Congo region. You can tell where the tropical rainforests are. Here's one that shows the types of plant growth in a certain area. If you look at Minnesota, you can see where our forests are up north and how heavily we forested we are along the entire east coast of the eastern half of the United States. So there's lots of ways to look at climate on maps, but there's also things, for example, human geography. Here's a political map of Texas. Here's a political map that shows, the boundaries of each of our states and also where capitals and cities are on the map. Likewise, another important one could be population. Here's a population map of India, and we'll talk about the population density, meaning how many people live per square mile in India when we get to our Asia unit. But this is a very, very tight map as far as population goes, some very crowded areas in India. And then this one is the same thing but in the United States. So the darker the color, the more populated an area is. So you can see, especially along the east coast and the northeast, how heavily populated that area is. But look out west, basically west of Minnesota and heading, south, you can see the yellow and even some white areas, which means, hardly anybody lives in those areas. So it gets real rural in a hurry as you move from east to west. Of course, then when you get to California on the west coast, that's a pretty popular spot, and that is pretty populated now as well. This is a map showing economic activity. Another theme showing the goods and services that people purchase. Here's a map that shows business and industry, particularly over in Europe. So you can see the different types of industry and natural resources that are there from energy, oil, gas, mining, and other things. Here's natural resources found in Texas. This is a oil and gas map. So this shows you how many natural resources are in Texas. Now it's important when we look at a map, the first thing you should look at is a title, because that'll probably tell you the theme of the map. In this case, population density of Europe, you know exactly what the theme of this map is. Here's another one. Here's wind resources in the United States. And you can use the colors in the legend to explain different things for you. For example, this is a population map. So the redder the colors, the more people live per square mile. And so you can see where it's real light green, it's a lot less populated. And that is thematic maps. So remember, physical maps show you the physical features of an area. Political maps show you boundaries and whatever the theme is, they kind of fall in those two categories, but there can be many different themes when you're looking at maps. When you're done with this, take the short 6-point quiz in Schoology, and be sure to tell me what your score was on the quiz. Okay? Thank you. Have a great day.
What a truly in-depth story. I really enjoyed the theme. Until tomorrow, good day and good news.